Hello. Okay, so picking up where we last left off, trying to remember where we last left off. Creating a tune in Ableton Live. Started with a little idea that developed into more ideas, including an acidy idea, which has sort of changed the direction of the piece. The original idea was something along the lines of so there's that, but going round and round and round, but at the end of that there was this chord sequence which I feel like is nicely developed now, so you can listen to that. Now that's heavily filtered, possibly a little bit too much bass there. Let's take it up a little bit. That's okay. And obviously it'll expand up. Okay, now what we then had was an acid bass line. So let's go back to that looped first part of the section. There we go. And then this is the acid bass that sort of found its way into the tune. Probably needs a bit more grunginess, maybe a little bit less high frequency in there, but for now it's pretty good. And it really lends itself to a nice kick. Now, if you remember, I was using AIM kit before, which was doing a decent job. It was nice and dry, but the more and more I listened to it, the more I felt like it needed more of a modern kick in there. So went into battery here and put a few of the kicks across the same root note, as you can see there. Basically split it across, how many does it play? On there. Use an 808 for some really low frequency stuff, shelved that off, found an interesting kick which had more of a sort of like a bit rate reduction on it. Gave it a bit of an interesting sound. Have a listen to the kick underneath this and see what you think. You can hear the sustain on that kick. Which I really like. I'm just going to turn it up a little bit so you can hear it more. Lots of low frequency, nice sustained 808 kick under that. In addition to that, what I felt was, and this is probably going back to more contemporary sounding dance music, I felt it needed a nice sort of low bass sound as well. So what I did was I brought a bass sound in from a previous tune that I'd done that I knew I'd spent a lot of time on. Let me show you what I'm actually talking about. It's this Mini Monster patch, and what I've done with that is I added a little bit of chorus, a bit of compression, and that is essentially it. It's a fifth. Fifth is fairly understated, and I sidechained it. So side chaining, for those of you who don't know, takes one source and lets that affect your root source. So if you want your bass line to sort of come in and out in relation to the kick, what it will do is you can create a sidechain channel, as I have done here, and all that is literally just one kick note on the 4 on the floor beat. That's on 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now actually, the kick you hear there isn't the sidechain kick. As you can see, I've taken it out. The actual sidechain kick, if I take out the main kick, is that. Not a very impressive kick, but what it does is it feeds into the low bass sound. So if we go back to that, can you see there? It's taking that as its input. So when you play the bass note, let's just get rid of that so you can't hear it, but you can see it graphically there. And you can see the amount of compression it's going to put on the sound. When we actually play the sound, you can hear it sort of pumping, and it's in relation to that kick. Now, if you then put the original kick back underneath, you should hear a nice sort of relationship between the bass and the kick. Bearing in mind that the both instruments, both the kick and the bass sound, are both low frequency sounds, so you don't want too much mush going on there. You want them to interplay with each other, alternate. So have a listen. I sound quite dark and broody now, which is nothing like what I originally heard, this sort of Latin piano piece, but it is what it is. Try and let it take it where it'll take you where it takes it. So in terms of what else I've done, I had a few more little bits. As I say, singled out just looped around that half the phrase, so that at any point I can then put in the full phrase, and it just gives it more emphasis. What I'll do is I will just play you, because when that full phrase comes in, what it needs is the root note to follow it. So I spent a bit of time trying to get this root note to follow with the main phrase. So have a listen to it in isolation. While we're doing that, why don't we just build up the kit? Now that bongo was originally pitched quite a lot lower. I think I mentioned very early on that I felt it was quite low pitched, and what actually worked was to pitch the bongo sound actually in tune with the actual melody, the key of the song. That's the root note of the song. It sounds really nice. What you probably think it's missing is a bit of offbeat hi-hat. Now what that is a shaker and open hi-hat, panned left and right. Just give it a bit of separation there, a bit of spread, tiny bit of reverb on it, and away you go. So if we actually play the main riff with that bass sound, let's see what you think. Now, the acid bass line still goes nicely with it. open up the filter a bit. Let's crank it up because it's probably quite quiet. Now you see me messing with the filter there. You see me messing around with the filter there. That's something that I'm going to be able to automate later on. We're getting relatively close to something that we can maybe put into an arrangement. So we'd go into our arrangement screen and throw in loops, trim them, crop them, arrange them, draw in a lot of automation. That's a whole different kettle of fish. Really, at this point, all we're doing is putting together a bunch of loops that we think sound nice together, up to the point where I'm thinking, yeah, this is, you know, rounded. We've got enough parts to have a song structure or a dance tune structure, and from there, that's when you can start to make those little subtle variations, build-ups, breakdowns, filter sweeps, lots of effects, manipulation, to give the sense of a really organic, changing piece. Not quite near that yet. I'm going to keep building up on it. I'm trying to think what else I've actually done in the last week. Oh yeah, what I was playing around on the piano, because that's my first instrument and I love playing it. And I just started playing this little riff here. Now I'm going to take down that, let's take that up a bit. So my thought was, this could potentially go into like a breakdown at some point. So you could build up that whole driving, rhythmic, repetitive section, and then drop down to this nice piano sound. Probably require a bit more production, but it's quite a nice little loop. I had a little mess around with using some of the existing sounds to accompany this piano sound, but not really sure I nailed it. Let's not do that, but let's see what it sounds like anyway. So I haven't even brought in the pre-produced loop, which always sounds amazing. I did. Let's keep that sidechain loop going. And let's bring in the pre-produced stuff. For some reason, that pre-produced loop just really puts some life into it, and hats off to Mr. Knight, who produced this particular loop. Yeah, really bring some light to it. Well, let's turn it up. I'm going to have a little play with what I've already got, and then that's it for this exciting instalment. Any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments section. I will reply, and subscribe if you want to keep up to date with where I'm up to with this.